Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 1st of August 2022. So let us quickly have a look into the articles that are important for the day. So today we are going to discuss these articles one by one. So the first article is about international north-south transport corridor. So in this article we will understand about the importance of international north-south transport corridor, and we will understand about the significance of this particular corridor for strengthening the ties between Russia and India. So this topic is relevant from international relations point of view under GS paper 2 of mains exam. After this we are going to take another topic. This topic is related to the need for a distinction between blasphemy and hate speech. So in this article we are going to understand about what is the difference between blasphemy and hate speech, and we are also going to talk about the relevant sections of Indian Penal Code that talks about hate speech and also curbs hate speech. So there has been multiple instances where hate speech has been in news. So today we are going to talk about the legality, the legal aspects related to hate speech and blasphemy in India. So this topic is important under Indian polity section of GS paper 2 of mains exam. After this we are going to talk about the third topic. It says India Oman to hold military exercise. So India and Oman is going to conduct military exercise. In this article we are going to talk about where the exercise is going to be conducted. We are going to discuss about the significance of the military exercise between India and Oman, and we are also going to look into the name of this particular military exercise. So this topic is important under internal security, but it is going to strengthen the military ties between these two nations. And also in this particular exercise we are going to share the know-how between the military personals. After this we are going to talk about the third topic. It says India's aviation sector absolutely safe, all rules being followed. So recently the chairperson of the Indian aviation department. So we are going to talk about the name of the organization that regulates the civil aviation in India. So the chairperson of that particular department, he has recently mentioned that the India's aviation sector is absolutely safe and all norms are being followed. Which norms? All norms related to the International Civil Aviation Organization. So we are going to understand about the role of International Civil Aviation Organization as well. So this topic is important under Indian economy, because here we are going to talk about the economy, that particular sector which is known as aviation sector. So after this we are going to discuss about a topic which is important from science and technology perspective. This article is about COVID to guard universal immunization. So you must be knowing that COVID is a portal of the government of India, and also it is a mobile application. So during COVID-19, the COVID helped the government of India and also the citizens of India in COVID-19 vaccination related aspects. So COVID has played a major role. It has very less flaws, and also it was implemented on a very short note. So we are going to discuss about multiple aspects associated with COVID application. So COVID is also going to be used for universal immunization program. So we are going to understand about this. So this is important under science and technology section, and also important for the health sector of India. After this we are going to discuss about another topic. It is also important under science and technology section. So here it says debris from from Chinese rockets falls to earth. So recently China has launched another module that's going to be a part of International Space Station that China is building. So out of some of the debris came out of that module, and so it has fallen on the surface of the earth. So recently the United States of America, some of its department, they have identified that these debris are coming from the rockets that were launched by China. So they have criticized about actions that were not taken by the Chinese authorities in prior informing the people about the debris and its the effects that it is going to have. So we are going to discuss about all of it in today's today's discussion in detail. So let us quickly look into the first topic. This topic says bringing Eurasia together. Okay, so you might be knowing that Eurasia is a concept. Okay, it is a geographical concept that talks about, long ago there used to be a single continent. Okay, so that used to connect Europe and Asia together. Okay, so Eurasia was there. Then you might have heard about in geography, okay, like Panthalassa, you might have heard about like multiple things associated with this. So let us understand about what is this article all about. Okay, so this article is relevant from international relations point of view. It is important for GS paper 2, and in this article we are going to discuss about what does International North-South Transport Corridor, okay, which is in short known as INSTC, okay, INSTC. So we are going to understand about this corridor. We are going to understand why this article was there. So there are multiple things associated with this. So let us understand the quick highlight about it. So the author says that the International North-South Transport Corridor, which aims to bring Eurasia closer together, is a laudable initiative. Laudable means an initiative that has to be applauded. Okay, so recently what has happened, the government of India, it has not taken any firm steps against Russia or towards Europe, towards America or against America. So it has it has stood neutral when it comes to Russia and Ukraine war. So during that time, India was criticized by Western countries that why India is not taking a particular step, not taking a side, because India is heavily dependent on the armed forces, heavily dependent on the ammunitions and other military related equipments that India imports from Russia. But that time people forgot about talking about International North-South Transport Corridor. So this International North-South Transport Corridor project was idealized. The idea of this particular project was initiated in the year of 2000. So it's been 22 years that this particular project was there in news, and people have been building about this particular project. But recently what has happened, one of the organization, it is known as railfreight.com. okay, this particular organization has talked about a particular ship that has traveled from the north portion of International North-South Transport Corridor, from Russia, and it has passed from all the sections, and ultimately it has reached Bombay, it has reached India. Okay, so the thing is, if we talk about International North-South Transport Corridor, so this particular corridor is a road, rail, as well as road, rail and maritime routes. It comprises of road, rail and maritime routes, means it connects the three kind of spaces: road, right, rail means transportation through rail, and also maritime routes. So this particular International North-South Transport Corridor connects three kind of different routes to connect the northern corridor and the southern portion, India. So India is a South Asian countries. Okay, why North-South Transport Corridor? Because Russia is a northern country, right? It is part of Asia as well, it is part of Europe as well. So it is connecting international north to south. Okay, so this is a transport corridor. Through this corridor, goods and services will be supplied. Okay, so India being a major importer of various commodities from Russia, commodities that also includes for example the oil related things, right, so petroleum related things. So India imports many of these things So the thing is, it was important for India to to realize a dream of connecting Russia with India directly. Okay, so this is the international north-south transport corridor. So this corridor bypasses bypasses, for example, China, it bypasses Pakistan, so it directly connects Russia with India, and it passes through Iran as well. Okay, it passes through Iran, it passes through some of the Central Asian countries, okay, with which like India has good ties. But this particular move, I mean, like recently this particular international north-south transport corridor has been inaugurated, and now one vessel has come from north portion of this particular corridor to India. So with this, it marks the the official inauguration or official launch of this particular corridor. But like this is a move that is not that may not be liked by some of the countries, for example the United States of America. Why? Because United States of America, which is USA, it considers Russia as its adversary. It considers Iran as its adversary. So Russia and Iran are considered adversaries to United States of America. But for India, like for India, USA is our friend, Russia is a friend, and also with Iran we have good ties. Okay, we have historical ties. So with this, like we are going to we will be able to transport goods from Russia to India and from India to Russia, and like in all the countries that are in the middle of this particular corridor. So this corridor highlights significant achievement of India. Why it is a significant achievement? Because like India has thought of this particular dream in the year of 2000, and after then India has started doing huge investment in this particular project, and that investment has become fruitful today, and it has finally been inaugurated. And in the near future we will see huge amount of goods being supplied from Russia and other countries through this particular corridor. So this particular corridor is also competitive, not only competitive, but like it is different, and it is giving an edge to India as compared to the Belt and Road Initiative of China. Okay, so China has Belt and Road Initiative that connects China with the European countries, right? But the thing is, the international north-south transport corridor, it connects the northern portion, okay, of the globe with India. Okay, so all those countries through which this corridor passes, so those countries are also going to be benefited out of this particular corridor. Okay, so there are multiple things associated with this, and the author has mentioned about all of it in this article. So in your free time you can read this article. I have highlighted all the important things that are there in this article. Okay, so with this, let us move little further. So here, like if we talk about international north-south transport corridor, so there was a trilateral agreement signed. Okay, the trilateral agreement was signed between India, Iran and Russia in 2000. Okay, and since then many other countries have also joined this corridor. Which countries have joined? Like Kazakhstan, Belarus, Oman, Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Syria. These countries have signed instruments of accession to become members of the international north-south transport corridor. So many countries, I mean like not only India, Russia and Iran, but also like these countries that I have named, they have also signed the instrument of accession to join this particular corridor. Okay, so once fully operational, once this particular corridor becomes fully operational, the international north-south transport corridor is expected to reduce freight cost by 30% and journey time by 40% in comparison with the conventional deep sea routes via the Suez Canal. Okay, so like it is an economic project. So this project is going to be beneficial for India and also those countries who have signed the instrument of accession to become members of the international north-south transport corridor. Now apart from this, like so we needed an alternative route as well. Okay, so earlier there was route through the Suez Canal, but like these routes were controlled by many countries, like who do not have very specific policies. I mean, like their policies are not very, what we say, predictable in nature. So that's why we wanted a alternative corridor, so that like we can have a predictable pathway through which the supplies of goods and services can reach India. Okay, so its need was deeply felt last year, and when the ever given container ship was stuck in the Suez. Okay, so like in this Suez Canal, you might have come across news that like one container ship was stuck, and it has led to, what we say, it has led to stall or halt of the free flow of passage of these containers. So the thing is, India's investment in the international north-south transport corridor is exemplified by its involvement in Iran's Chabahar port. Okay, so India has built the Iran's Chabahar port. It has invested right into the construction of this particular port, and like there is Chabahar Zahedan railway line. Okay, so the thing is, like in this article they have talked about multiple things. So in your free time you can read this article to understand more about it. Okay, so that will be beneficial from the point of view of how geopolitics plays role when it comes to like international trade. Okay, so this is the thing. Now let's talk about another topic. This topic is equally important, and this is important for Indian polity section of the mains exam. So in this article we are going to discuss about like two things, hate speech and blasphemy. Okay, so in this article the author has mentioned the need for a distinction between blasphemy and hate speech. And what is the history of section 295A of the Indian Penal Code? How should blasphemy be treated in the statute as opposed to hate speech? Okay, so let me be very quick in telling about like what do we mean by hate speech, what do we mean by blasphemy. When we talk about blasphemy, right, so blasphemy, this is the keyword, blasphemy. When we talk about blasphemy, so blasphemy is an act, okay, by a person, is an act like of writing, of speaking, or of displaying something that hurts the religious sentiments of a community. Okay, that hurts the religious sentiment of a community. So that is known as blasphemy. Okay, many countries in the world have laws, right, in their respective law books that that mentions about like blasphemy, and also mentions about the criminalization, mentions about the the quantum of punishment that is applicable in cases of blasphemy. But when we talk about India, in India, like we do not have blasphemy laws in our rule book. Okay, in our statutes, in our laws, we do not have blasphemy mentioned, like the keyword blasphemy mentioned in our statutes or in our rule books. But so like you might be having a question, so how do we tackle the issues related to blasphemy? How do we tackle, like if someone is making like hate speech against a particular religion, against followers of a particular faith, or someone writes about it? Okay, so how do we deal with that? So for that, like we have Indian Penal Code. Okay, so IPC, in Indian Penal Code we have different sections, and one of the section of Indian Penal Code, which is section 295A, this particular section deals with hate speech. Okay, it deals with hate speech, and like there has been multiple cases in the Supreme Court of India where Supreme Court of India has given judgment, and in those judgments the Supreme Court of India clarified about certain things related to hate speech. Okay, so in this article we are going to explore about those cases that were, I mean, like that where the Supreme Court of India has given a judgment, and we are also going to look into the historical aspects, the history of blasphemy laws. Okay, so here they talk about, like when we talk about the legality, whether section 295A of the Indian Penal Code is legal or not, whether like it is valid or not. So related to that, multiple cases have been filed in the Supreme Court, and a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court has given a judgment in this case. Whenever 5 or more bench judges are giving a judgment, that is known as constitutional bench. Okay, that is known as constitutional bench. Okay, so here what has happened, a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court of India has affirmed that section 295A of the Indian Penal Code is legal, it is valid. Okay, the court said that the punishment under section 295A deals with aggravated form of blasphemy which is committed with malicious aim of offending any religious sensibilities. Okay, after then, insulting a religion may be disputed but should not be legally outlawed. For example, if someone is insulting a religion, in that case it may be disputed in a court of law, the cases can be filed, but the thing is like this particular thing cannot be considered outlawed, that cannot be dealt with court of law. It can be dealt with the court of law. Okay, so it is not outlawed. Okay, so it must be there under legal provisions. Okay, so that was the judgment of the Supreme Court of India, and the reason for this is because hate speech laws are predicated on the critical distinction between criticizing religion and encouraging prejudice towards individuals because of their faith. Okay, so blasphemy laws which prohibit religious criticism in general are incompatible with the principles of democratic society. Okay, so now here comes the principle of democratic society. When we talk about a democratic society, so in democratic societies people have the right to free speech and expression. When we are giving right to free speech and expression, so these are rights that are guaranteed to individuals. Okay, these are guaranteed to individuals or citizens of the country in that particular country. Okay, so India is a democratic country. We have the right to freedom of speech and expression, so we can freely speak our mind, but at the same time these are not absolute rights. Okay, these are qualified rights, so certain restrictions are there. Okay, these are known as qualitative rights. Okay, so qualitative restrictions are there. Okay, so free speech does not mean you can speak anything and everything. There are limitations on it, and those limitations are also mentioned under the fundamental rights of the Constitution of India. Okay, so if you read Article 19 of the Constitution, if you read the fundamental rights, you will come across freedom of speech and expression related articles, and also there they have mentioned about reasonable restrictions that are placed on the exercise of the freedom of speech and expression. So we can write freely, we can speak, and we can display the things provided that it does not hurt the sentiment, okay, of any religious community. It does not bring animosity between different countries, and so there are certain many things that are mentioned. So these are known as reasonable restrictions. Okay, so reasonable restrictions are placed. But in this article, the author has highlighted about two specific cases. One case of Muhammad Zubair. So he is from Alt News. So he was arrested for tweeting a still picture from a movie. Okay, so he has tweeted a still picture from a movie in the year of 2014. Okay, in that year he has tweeted, but recently a case was filed against him, and he was put behind the bars. He is being tried in courts of law, and multiple cases have been filed. Okay, so this is one case. And on the other hand, there was another person, her name is Nupur Sharma. So Nupur Sharma, she is a member of the ruling party. She is a member of the BJP. So she has, she has talked about. She has made inflammatory remarks on a prime TV, prime time TV show. So she has made remarks in a TV show. Okay, during a prime time show in the TV debate itself, and these remarks were inflammatory, means these remarks hurt the religious sentiments of a particular religion. So the thing is, here we are talking about like whether there is what we say like on one side there was a person who has tweeted something from a movie, means like it is not something that was created by himself. Okay, so, he has tweeted a picture from a movie, okay, a still picture from a movie, and on the other side there was someone like who is speaking against a particular religion. She is making inflammatory remarks. So the thing is, these two, like on one side the person who has just tweeted, he is facing multiple cases that were filed against him. On the other side, someone like who has made remarks in a prime time TV show that was aired, okay, she is not she's absconding, okay, she's not facing any difficulty as of now. So like this article tries to look into those aspects, minute aspects related to this. So now if we talk about what is the history of section 295A of the IPC. IPC stands for Indian Penal Code. Okay, so Indian Penal Code is a book of statutes. So it is a book that mentions all the different forms of crimes and associated punishments. It mentions about multiple things, different kind of crimes are listed there. Okay, so Indian Penal Code is essentially related to crimes, okay, related to criminal the act of crime. Okay, so here let us discuss about the history associated with Article 295A. Why we are discussing about Article 295A? Because this particular article deals with hate speech. Okay, so as far as laws in India go, there isn't a formal legislation against blasphemy. Okay, so as I already discussed in the beginning, we do not have a formal legislation against blasphemy, means like we do not have a separate law related to blasphemy, but like there is a provision under Indian Penal Code that deals with hate speech, and so that is known as section 295A of the Indian Penal Code. Okay, so the closest equivalence to blasphemy law is section 295A of the Indian Penal Code, which punishes any speech, writing or signs that with premeditated and malicious intent insults citizens' religion or religious beliefs with a fine and imprisonment of up to 3 years. Okay, and like if we talk about the history of the section 295A, so like we have a history of 95 years, right? The history of section 295A can be traced back to 95 years. So like how this particular section was initiated, how this section became a part of Indian Penal Code, we are going to discuss about it now. So in 1927, okay, a satire was published. In 1927, a satire was published which had obscene parallels to Prophet's personal life. It was indeed very offensive to the Muslim community, but the erstwhile, means like then the High Court of Lahore, it observed that the author of this cannot be prosecuted as the writing did not cause animosity or hostility between any communities. Thus the offense did not fall under section 153A, which dealt with maintaining public tranquility and order. Okay, but the thing is, however, this incident gave rise to demand that there should be a law to protect the sanctity of religions, and thus section 295A was introduced. Okay, so that time, I mean 1927, there was an incident, but at that time there was a law. That law was section 153A of IPC, but this section was not sufficient enough to try those cases. So later on a demand arose. Okay, demand arose where people demanded that there should be a law to protect the religious sanctity. So that's why the section 295A was introduced that time. The legality of section 295A, which had been challenged in Ramji Lal Modi case 1957, was affirmed by 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court. Okay, and the Supreme Court has given reasons that while Article 19 Clause 2 allows reasonable limits on freedom of speech and expression for the sake of public order, the punishment under section 295A deals with the aggravated form of blasphemy which is committed with the malicious aim of offending the religious sensibilities of any class. Okay, So what is the distinction? On one side, Article 19 Clause 2, it allows for reasonable restrictions on the kind of free speech. But when we talk about Section 295A, it deals with aggravated form of blasphemy. Okay, this is the thing. So that was the judgment given by the Supreme Court of India in Ramji Lal Modi case in 1957. Ramji Lal Modi case. After then, what has happened? How has the legislation been interpreted? Okay, later on also there were multiple cases in the Supreme Court and different courts in India. So how those cases has been interpreted? Okay, as of now, down the line, the apex court means the Supreme Court of India, redefined the test it laid down in the Ramji Lal Modi case. It decided that the connection between speech and disorder must be like a spark in a powder keg. Okay, so now let us understand what does the Supreme Court of India mean by spark in a powder keg. Okay, a spark in a powder keg means, let's say someone has spoken something and it is immediately raising the sentiment among people that their religious what we say belief have been hurt. Okay, so some action by someone, action in writing, action in speaking, action is in displaying something that immediately arouses anger against the other community. Okay, so that immediately raises this particular thing, feeling of hurt again among the people of other communities. So that's known as this is known as spark in a powder cage. So the Supreme Court said that only then it will be considered as an offense under Section 295A. Okay, this is the thing. Now after this, Section 295A of the IPC. So there were multiple other cases also, Superintendent of Central Prison in Fatehgarh versus Ram Manohar Lohia. The Supreme Court of India, stated that incitement to impeding, there were multiple cases. As of now, we need to understand that we do not have a separate law dealing with blasphemy itself, but we have a close connection of blasphemy with Section 295A of the IPC, where the Supreme Court of India has given multiple judgments. So now, if we talk about are the hate speech cases rising in India? Okay, so as per the data given by NCRB says National Crime Records Bureau. Okay, so there has been a huge increase in cases registered promoting hate speech and fostering animosity in society. The data reads that while there were only 323 cases registered in 2014, it had increased to 1,804 cases in 2020. So nowadays, a huge number of cases are being filed against individuals under this particular section, which is Section 295A of the IPC. Okay, so this is the basic difference. So we are not going to go into the nitty-gritty of Nupur Sharma and Muhammad Zubair case. So you can read about it in your free time. I have highlighted wherever I found something to be very important, but I have discussed the things in detail with you. So let us talk about another topic. Okay, let's discuss about another topic. So this topic says India, Oman to hold military exercise. Okay, India and Oman, they both are countries. Okay, Oman is considered to be a Gulf country. Okay, it is a Gulf country. So this is the map of the globe. Okay, so map of the world, and this is India in green color, and this is orange color that you see. This is Oman. Okay, so India and Oman are going to conduct military exercise. What is the name of the military exercise? The name of the military exercise is Al-Naja. Okay, Al-Naja 4 means this is the 4th edition of the same military exercise that is going to be conducted between Indian Army and the Royal Army of Oman. Okay, so this is the fourth time that they are going to conduct the military exercise between their respective armies. On one side we have Indian Army from India, and on the other side we have Royal Army of Oman from Oman. So this exercise is going to be conducted in India, and like 60 army personnel from Oman has already arrived at the site, at the location where the exercise is about to be conducted. Okay, so here they are going to share the know-how related to military capabilities. They are going to train one another with their best practices, so that in future these two countries can have best practices when it comes to military exercises. Okay, so from India 18 mechanized infantry battalion is participating. So now let us understand, why do we need such kind of military exercises, joint military exercises? We need the joint military exercises so that we understand how well other countries are equipped when it comes to military preparedness. Okay, so India also has military preparedness at certain level. We want to strengthen that thing, and also we want to help our allies. We want to help our friendly nations with the know-how that we have, with the capabilities that we have, so that they can also be stronger in the near future. Okay, so with that, so the countries are cooperating, the countries are participating to make one another stronger militarily. Okay, so this is the thing. With this, let us talk about another topic. So recently, you might have been coming across in news that one of the aircraft companies, its name is SpiceJet, so multiple engine failures, multiple kind of different technical glitches has been reported against this particular company because of failure to have proper checks and balances in place. Okay, so this has risen multiple questions when it comes to aviation sector. So recently, DGCA, which is Directorate General of Civil Aviation, okay, so DGCA chief, his name is Mr. Arun Kumar. So he has pondered upon it, he has thought about it, so how it is going to affect the Indian aviation industry. So when it comes to Indian aviation industry, the DGCA is the authority that regulates the aviation sector in India. So DGCA makes it sure that all the companies that are functioning in India, all the aviation companies, okay, all the aviation companies like SpiceJet, let's say there are other companies as well. Okay, Go Air, we have Indigo, we have multiple players. Okay, Jet Airways, Indian Airlines. So multiple companies are there, so that are part of the Indian aviation industry. So all these companies are regulated by DGCA, and DGCA makes it sure that these companies follow proper standards in their practices. Okay, follow proper rules, proper norms that are made by DGCA, and also they follow the standards set by the International Civil Aviation Agency. So recently, DGCA chief has thought about it, if news like this, are interpreted in a wrong way, so it can hamper the Indian aviation industry. So he has come in one of the press conferences, he has clarified that Indian civil aviation industry is safe. It is not only safe, but it is following all the best practices, all the standards that have been set by the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is in short known as ICAO. Okay, so he has clarified that Indian airlines are following the best practices, and also he has highlighted that even the foreign flights, the aircraft that are coming from foreign countries, they also have minute glitches. So recently, over the past 15 days, there have been 16 glitches that were reported from international flights that came to India. Okay, so not only Indian companies have some of the glitches, but those companies also have glitches. But the thing is, it is to be noted that this is not a what we say blame game. Okay, this is something that these aircrafts are fitted with hundreds and thousands of components. If one or two components are malfunctioning, so there should be a proper proper mechanism in place so that we can identify those components, that these components are routinely failing, so that these components can be replaced, okay, so that like we can avoid any major incidents. So the thing is, the DGCA chief has clarified that like Indian civil aviation industry is performing really well, and it maintains proper standards, and at the same time the DGCA is making sure that all these, all these different companies are regulated well, so that like there has to be a proper inspection mechanism in place, okay. So that's all about this particular article. This article showcases how well the Indian aviation industry is functioning, okay. Now let's talk about another topic. This topic is also very important, okay. In this article we are going to talk about CoWIN. You must be knowing that CoWIN is an application. It is a mobile application, and also there is a portal of the government of India named CoWIN. So why CoWIN is used? Because CoWIN was used to make it sure that like all the people are vaccinated related to COVID-19. So CoWIN came into prominence during COVID period, and like it has helped lakhs and lakhs of people like in identifying the vaccination centers, in like applying for vaccination doses. And like it also helped us help people to identify whether someone is someone is quarantined properly or not. So multiple, like this particular application has had multiple benefits for the government of India and also for the citizens of India, right? But like this CoWIN, being an application, this can have multiple other applications in the near future. One of the application that is being thought about is including this particular CoWIN application in the universal immunization program, okay. When it comes to universal immunization program, so children, mothers, they are immunized, okay, they are vaccinated against certain diseases. So for universal immunization program, the CoWIN application may be used in the near future. Not only in this, like there can be multiple other applications in similar health related aspects, where people will be finding it easy to identify the vaccination centers, in booking the vaccination slots, and also in getting timely information related to vaccination programs of the government of India, okay. So this article talks about the benefits that the CoWIN application may be giving to the society in the near future to come, okay. So in addition of digitally verifiable certificates for routine immunization, he says will be the first of its kind globally, and it is a great way to start building longitudinal health records for a child right from its birth, okay. So this is the thing. So the CoWIN may have far reaching impact. It may be having wider applications in the near future, okay. So this is the thing. The CoWIN as an application was developed on a very short notice, and it did not face any major flaws, security flaws and all. So why we have been able to build CoWIN on a quicker note? Because the government of India has already developed multiple similar applications. For example, we have had unified payment interface UPI, we have DigiLocker, we have Aadhaar based authentication, etc. already in place. So that's why the CoWIN was very helpful, and it was a timely application that was built and deployed, right? So with this, let us take another topic. So this is going to be the last topic for the day. So in this topic we are going to discuss about the debris from Chinese rocket fall to earth, okay. So debris means debris, or we read it to be derris, okay. So B is silent here. So when we talk about debris, so these are small components, parts, okay. These parts are something that are the byproducts, okay, of a rocket. So when rocket goes it may break down, so it may lead to small what we say parts. These parts are not useful, but they are harmful for the environment, because like in the environment the debris get accumulated. Okay, they keep on revolving around the earth, they keep on rotating on the in the environment, I mean like in the upper atmosphere. If they fall on the surface of the earth, then like it may cause damage to the life, damage to people, damage to properties and all. So debris has to be properly tackled, they have to be managed well, so that like they do not cause problems for the human society. So recently what has happened, like one of the agencies of the United States of America, this is known as US Space Command, okay, they have confirmed that People's Republic of China Long March 5B, okay. So like PRC means like Chinese government has had a rocket which is known as Long March 5B. It re-entered over the Indian Ocean at an approx this particular timing. So its debris fall into the Indian Ocean, and they have criticized the Chinese government for not informing about this to the public, and also for hiding the information related to the debris that like their space programs are going to bring. So this is the thing with this, like the US like Space Command, they have also asked Chinese government to share other information. They have asked through Twitter, but the Chinese government has shared information through their own app, which is WeChat profile. They have shared the information that like some other debris they are going to fall in the east coast of Philippines, like Palawan Island, okay, in the Sulu Sea. So this is the thing. So now we need to understand about the basic concept related to space debris. When it comes to space debris, we do have certain laws in place. I mean like this is part of international law. It talks about like outer space treaty. We have our outer space treaty, and under that outer space treaty multiple things are mentioned. And also we have a moon treaty, okay, moon treaty is there, outer space treaty is there. So they mention about space debris, and they mention about, I mean like those companies, I mean like that are for example making space debris in the atmosphere, they should be held responsible for managing those debris. If for example those debris fall on some other country, if they have some damage, so like they can claim for damages that were made by the rocket launching country. So multiple things are associated with this. In your free time you can read about this article, okay, you can read about this article to understand more about it, okay. So that's all from my side for the day. Thank you so much everyone for joining today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you. Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Study General Studies with Lukmaan IAS for building comprehensive knowledge. GS paper 2 and 4 will be taken by S. Ansari, and other papers will be covered by renowned faculties. Live classes are as effective as offline classes. The classes are highly interactive in nature. Your doubts and queries will be addressed, and there will be dictation of notes. In the last 10 years, Lukmaan IAS has set up a niche in the field of UPSC guidance.